Update 2. I suspected my wife was planning a divorce, so I moved my assets. 2 weeks later, she filed, but I was. Up until then, I hadn't done anything about it. A couple of days later, she brought it up again. We were in the kitchen, I was making a sandwich, and she was scrolling on her phone when she suddenly said, "Have you thought more about organizing the bank stuff? Like, do you know where all the account details are?" I put down the knife and turned to face her. "Okay, what's going on?" I asked, trying to keep my tone light but firm. "You've been bringing up the finances a lot lately. Is there something we need to talk about?" She finally looked up from her phone, surprised, like she didn't expect me to press her on it. "No, nothing's wrong," she said quickly, giving me a small laugh. "I just think it's important, that's all. You know, for emergencies." "Emergencies like what?" She shrugged, her face unreadable. "I don't know, just life stuff. It's not a big deal, I promise. I just think it's something we should get on top of." Her answer felt vague, too vague. I nodded and let it go, but the way she avoided giving a straight answer only made me more suspicious. It didn't feel like a casual suggestion anymore, it felt like she was hiding something, and I had no idea what it was. So the next day, while she was out at work, I decided to take a closer look at our financial situation. I opened our joint account online and noticed something strange. A few small transfers had been made over the past month. Nothing huge, just little amounts that didn't seem to have a clear purpose. They weren't labeled for bills or groceries or anything like that. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, but it looked like she'd been moving money out of the account for something, but I couldn't figure it out. I thought about confronting her, but something told me to wait. If I was wrong, I'd look like an idiot, and if I was right, well, I needed to be careful. And it was eating me up, so I reached out to someone I trusted, an old college buddy who happens to be a lawyer. I told him what I'd noticed, trying not to sound like a conspiracy theorist. "Look," he said after I explained everything, "I'm not saying something's definitely going on, but you're not crazy for wanting to be prepared. If you're worried about protecting your assets, now's the time to do it. Better safe than sorry." He gave me a rundown of what I could do, simple steps to make sure my finances were secure if something was going on. I'll admit, the idea of taking action like that felt extreme. It felt like I was planning for something terrible when I wasn't even sure anything was wrong. But the more I thought about it, the more it made sense. If she was actually up to something, and I was starting to believe she was, I needed to protect myself. It wasn't an easy decision to make, though. This wasn't just about money or assets, it was about the life we built together. I kept replaying memories in my head, our wedding day, the times we stayed up late talking about our dreams, the random little jokes we shared. How did we get here? Was this really what our marriage had come to? The thought of taking these steps felt like admitting defeat, like I was officially giving up on the trust we once had. That evening, while she was out, I sat down at my desk and pulled out my laptop. My hands were shaking as I opened the browser and started going through everything: bank accounts, investment accounts, the house deed. Each document I reviewed felt like a betrayal, but the nagging voice in my head kept reminding me that this was about survival, not sabotage. I wasn't trying to hurt her, I just couldn't shake the feeling that if I didn't act now, I'd regret it later. I made a list of everything I could transfer and how to do it without raising suspicion. As I typed, I felt this crushing weight settle on my chest. I'd trusted her completely for years, and now here I was, playing defense against the person I thought would always have my back. Then I called my mom and didn't tell her everything, just enough to explain why I needed her help. "I need you to hold on to some things for me for a while," I said. "It's nothing bad, just something I need to do to protect myself, just in case." She was quiet for a moment, probably trying to figure out what I wasn't saying. "Are you okay?" Her voice full of concern. "Yeah," I lied. "It's just a precaution, nothing to worry about." She didn't press me, but I could hear the hesitation in her voice when she said, "Of course, sweetheart. Whatever you need." Hanging up the phone, I felt a strange mix of relief and shame. I hated involving her in this mess, but at the same time, knowing she had my back gave me some sense of stability in a situation that felt like quicksand. By the time Em got home, I'd already started the process. I transferred most of my assets, our savings, my investments, even the house, into my mom's name. I left enough in our joint account to keep up appearances, but the rest was locked down. She didn't notice a thing. She came in, kissed me on the cheek, and asked if I wanted to watch a movie. I acted normal, but inside, I was a mess. Part of me felt guilty, like I was betraying her trust, but another part of me felt relieved, like I was finally taking control of a situation that had been spiraling out of my hands. Over the next few days, I kept things as normal as possible. I didn't want to tip her off that anything had changed. She seemed content, even unusually cheerful at times, but instead of putting me at ease, it made me more suspicious. If she was planning something, she was doing an expert job of hiding it. What stood out, though, is that she didn't bring up the finances again, not once after I questioned her the last time. It was like the subject had completely vanished from her mind. At first, I thought maybe I'd overreacted and she'd dropped it because it really wasn't that important, but the more I thought about it, the more it felt like she was avoiding it, almost like she was dreading bringing it up again after I pressed her. I caught her glancing at me a few times, though, quick little looks like she was gauging my mood or deciding whether to say something. Every time I noticed, she'd immediately turn her attention back to whatever she was doing, her phone, the TV, a book. It was subtle, but it was there. It felt like she was waiting for me to bring it up, like she didn't want to risk pushing the topic again. The silence about it only made me more uneasy. It wasn't like her to just drop something she thought was important, and the way she avoided it now felt deliberate. If she was testing the waters, she wasn't getting in. And if she was waiting for something, I wasn't about to give her the green light. Whatever her next move was, I knew I needed to stay one step ahead. Something was coming, I just didn't know when or how. All I could do was prepare.